welcome to episode number 75 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit, and where I get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for coming by and checking out my channel. I hope you like it here and I hope you stick around. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back for another day to visit me and see what I've been up to. I appreciate everyone who's here watching my little video every week. Today is Saturday, August the 14th, 2021. We're almost halfway through August already. How is this happening? Anyway, we've got a really nice late summer day here. It's in the mid 80s probably today. Might be a little bit warmer by now. It's partly cloudy out, next to nothing for a breeze. Just a gorgeous day out today. It was gorgeous when we were out earlier this morning. So I've had a fairly productive day working on some knitting and crocheting. I have one sort of finished object. I have progress on a couple whips that I had ongoing, and I have a new cast on. I have absolutely zero business casting on anything new, but I did it anyway. So, such is life. I had an itch to cast on something different, something new, so I went for it. And I'm probably almost halfway finished with the project already. It's a fairly small, relatively small project, but I'm really enjoying it. And it's pretty simple and straightforward, so it's not too taxing on my hands, although I'm taking lots of breaks. So let's take a look at what I've been working on this past week. I'm still working on my little pet snuggles. I've made another one, looks the same as the last two I showed you last week. They're crocheted using two strands of yarn. I'm using one that's a white yarn, the other is a variegated splotchy kind of yarn that has white or cream color, yellow, blue, and green little chunks of color on it. And I'm crocheting the two strands together, and it's just a basic double crochet square-ish blanket. And as I had talked about last week, I'm going to be donating these to my local Humane Society. Probably in the next month or so, I'll just make up a whole bunch of them, then I'll just take them all down there with me, or take them all down at one time. And I have some progress on another one. So this one is, how far have I got? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, almost 9 rows out of 22. I like doing them about 22 rows, and with the starting chain that I use, it gives me a blanket that's roughly 22 inches square, which is a nice size for putting into a cat kennel or a small kennel for a small dog. So it's not a large blanket. It's, like I say, roughly 2 feet or 22 inches square, not quite 2 feet, 22 inches square. So I'm going to continue working on those. I'm almost done with the variegated yarn, and then I'm going to have to start digging through my old acrylic stash. These are both, I think the variegated yarn, it's just a red heart yarn. Multicolor. The color is Camper Print is the name of the color. So I had a full skein of that, so I thought I'll just use up that. I have a full skein of white. Ambulance coming along. That's not a local one. I don't know where He was from a lot farther away than our local ambulance, but heading towards the hospital down that way. So anyway, so that's my crochet project. I usually have a plastic tub with my acrylic yarns in it, and I just have it sitting by my chair in the living room so that when we're watching movies in the evening, I can work on that. I've also made some progress on my Super Sock World Championship socks. These are in my Fringe Supply field bag. And I've only made a small bit of progress on these since we talked last week. I'm using, I think I forgot to tell you on the crochet, I'm using a 6mm crochet hook. I think that is size J in US sizing. And so for these socks, these are the beaded eyelet cuff socks, and it's by Debbie Haymark. And I'll put that down across, or we'll have put that down across the bottom here. And I have just a little bit of progress since we talked last. So I've definitely slowed down on this since we talked last, or with the Super Sock knitting contest. I've really slowed down on this. I'm clearly not getting any points of any sort for this. I'm still working on the lap 4 socks. I haven't even considered casting on lap 5. And I don't even have a complete, first sock is not even finished yet. So last time I talked to you, I was partway through doing the heel flap, if I'm not mistaken. And so since then, I finished the heel flap and the heel turn. I have done the gusset decreasing, and now we're working our way down the foot. So it's still going to be quite a ways before I'm finished with these. I'm still only have the first sock partly done. So I'm slowly plugging along with these, and I hope to have them done eventually. But again, I'm in no hurry. I don't want to overdo my hands. I have an appointment in a little over a week. It'll be a week Tuesday. I go and see the orthopedic surgeon, so we'll see what he has to say then. But these are really cute pattern. The yarn I'm using is some yarn that I dyed myself. It's just a tonal variegated type of pink yarn. I'm using 2.25mm needles, or I guess it's a US size 1, I believe. And they are my Chiogu. So that's the type of knitting needle I really enjoy using, this particular brand of knitting needles. So that's my progress on that. Not much. Hopefully I'll have more to show you next week, and I'm hoping to have got a fair bit more done on those over the next week, but we shall see. If I'm not tempted to cast on something new again, I'll get more done on the socks. No promises, no guarantees. I'm just drinking some, I forget, it's pomegranate cherry flavored juice crystals, just in an old water bottle. And my new cast on are the Mash It Up, it's a hat called Mash It Up by Babs Osherman. And I'm modifying the pattern somewhat. The pattern is set and designed for using up scraps. It asks you to hold 2 strands of fingering weight yarn together to create a sport weight yarn. It uses a size 6 or 4mm needles, and you start out holding 2 of one color. You use, I think, 6 different colors, and you start out using the the brim is done using 2 strands of one color. And then you drop 1 strand of that and pick up a second color and knit a certain number of rows. And then you drop the first color and pick up a second strand of the second color. And then you knit those 2 colors together for a certain number. Then you drop one of those, pick up a third color, and so on, until you decrease it all the way up to the crown of the hat. I had picked out a handful of different sock scraps. There's 2 ambulances going that way. One's from the next town, a couple towns over, who have their own hospital, and another one from the major university teaching hospital, which is at least an hour away from here. So, don't know what that's all about, but anyway, I picked up my colors of yarn, and then when I was just starting to get it all together and reading through the pattern, I realized that I had 2 or 3 of the colors I had chosen, I had rolled into a ball. So the only way I was going to get 2 strands of that were to undo the ball and put them into either two or do it up into a cake so I could pull both ends at the same time. So I thought I just didn't have the brain space and the gumption to do it that way. So I thought I had the white yarn left over, or the bare yarn, and then I had almost just shy of 50 grams of one yarn left over from a pair of socks I had made not too long ago. So I thought I'm just going to do a marled effect, and I'll just do the entire hat in just those 2 colors held together. And I'm loving the way it looks. I really like the way this is looking. It also looks gigantic. My gauge might be off, but I also have a big melon, so I'm hoping it'll fit when I'm done. If not, we'll call it a slouchy hat of some sort instead. But I'm just using the two colors and knitting them together. So I have the bare yarn and a blue tonal yarn that I dyed a while back for socks. So I'm just using these 2 together to create this pretty marled effect. And I love the way it's looking. I love the effect. Oh my gosh, this looks massive. I really don't, it might fit. Might not be too bad. It just looks gigantic right now. But we'll hold off and see. So I'm probably about halfway done. I probably only have another couple inches to go before it's time to start decreasing for the crown. So there we have it. Those are it's a mash it up hat, and I'm just using 2 colors. I like the way the pattern's written. I'm thinking that down the road I'm probably going to start making some more hats. I might use them just to give away as gifts to people, or I might just make some to donate. And what I think I'm going to do is this tub here of yarns, they're all yarns that I've dyed myself, and they're all sport weight. And what I'm really looking for are patterns where I can use just a single skein of sport weight yarn to make a project, because a lot of them wouldn't coordinate well together. Some of them might, but for the most part they're not going to work well as a single, like as 2 colors together. So I'm thinking what I might do is try to look for different patterns that I can use. So probably my next cast on is I might redo this hat in a smaller size. I'll do there's a small, medium, and large size. So just based on the number of stitches you cast on and how many inches you go before you decrease for the crown. So I'm thinking I might make another hat using one of these. I'm really thinking it's going to be this one right here. It's like a pinky purple variegated yarn. I think that'll make a really fun hat. But I'm also wary that I don't want to run out, but I think there would be enough yardage for a sport weight hat out of one of these guys. So stay tuned. You're probably going to see a hat coming out of one of these yarns in the somewhat near future. I'm finding that these knit up really quickly, even with taking a lot of breaks. I just cast on this hat yesterday, late morning. I had a meeting all afternoon, so I was able to get some knitting done with lots of breaks over a 2-3 hour meeting yesterday afternoon. And then I did some more knitting on it in the evening while the hubby and I were watching TV or watching a movie last night. So I got a fair bit done just in about 6 hours of knitting. Yeah, probably about 6 hours of knitting. So it's coming along nicely. And I suspect I'll have it done in the next day or two. So next week you might see another one cast on and maybe another one finished with probably that guy right there, that pink and purple. Actually, temptation is getting me. I gotta... Whoops, I just bumped the camera. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's a pink and purple, and I like it. I think it's got a little bit of white that shows up here and there. So I think this will make a really, really fun pair of, or not pair of socks. I think this will make a really fun hat. And I like the color. I love the colors on it. So that might be the next thing that I cast on. If you have suggestions for some other single skein sport weight yarns, or what patterns I can use with a single skein of sport weight, particularly variegated, that it'll show off a variegated pattern nicely, I'd love, just drop them down in the comments below. I'd love to hear some suggestions. And something that'll use the majority of it, because I don't really want to have a whole bunch of leftovers, because then I'm not sure what I would do with all the leftovers. But that's it for my knitting and crochet for this past week. It's been fairly productive, but I've also been busy with a lot of school things. So we're kind of transition into the nattering about random stuff part of the episode. So we're starting to ramp up for back to school. We start up, classes begin on Monday the 23rd, and there's a lot of things that need to get done in this last week before classes start. I need to make sure that my 2 online classes are organized, that all the dates are lined up properly, and that I have no mistakes on that. So I need to spend some time getting that settled and straightened out. My other class is potentially going to be online. I will find out for sure the final decision on that next week. It might be face-to-face, it might be 100% online. So I'm going to hold off on finalizing any of the details on that one until early next week, and then I'll get into a panic and a flap to make sure it's all set and ready to go. I have an all-day faculty professional development thing on Thursday. Then next Saturday we have the ceremony for incoming students, and all the faculty are expected to be there, all geared up in our regalia and all that fun stuff. So I'll be tied up Saturday morning and afternoon, part of the afternoon, so I won't have a chance to I probably will still have time to do my podcast later in the afternoon. We'll see. But I do have a lot of work-related things that are starting to ramp up now. and they'll continue ramping up and stay ramped up, especially coming to the 23rd once school starts up in 100% full swing. So here's crossing our fingers that there are no hassles and problems with everything that's been going on the last year and a half. They did change up some of the rules for going back to campus. Everyone, students, faculty, staff, everyone is expected to wear a mask at all times even when we're indoors on campus. So it's going to be challenging to teach while wearing a mask. Not excited about that, but we have to do what we have to do. So here's hoping that there's no major problems and that everything goes nice and smoothly for the fall semester back to school for everyone involved. But enough of that stuff. We went out this morning to our local farmers market. The regular place where we have our little breakfast sandwich, they had taken the weekend off. We talked to the girl, or the young lady that has the booth right next to them, or the stand right next to them. She sells cinnamon buns. That's the daughter is in the one booth, and then the other booth with the breakfast and peach tea. They're mother, father, and daughter. So we talked to the daughter, and she was saying that her parents had taken the weekend off. They needed a little break, and they'd be back next weekend for the breakfast. I won't be able to be there next weekend in the morning, so I'll miss them 2 weeks in a row, which is sad. But we went and we picked up a couple. The daughter does cinnamon buns. They're so good. But this one, she has peach cinnamon buns. And we haven't eaten them yet. We've got them there in the kitchen waiting to have for dessert for after supper tonight. And we got that. So we got a couple cinnamon buns. We got fresh corn on the cob, so that's going to be for supper tonight. We got some fresh green beans. That'll be for supper over the next couple nights, not tonight. We also bought cucumber, and I got a big package of blackberries. And I ate a small handful of them when we got home, and oh, they are so tart. Oh, my mouth is just going as I just thinking about them. So I'm going to have to come up with plan B, because I was planning on just eating them just right out of the container. They're too tart to eat that way. I don't enjoy them when they're that tart. Usually I find blackberries are nice and sweet. These are really tart. So I was looking at a few different recipes, and I'm going to make a blackberry crumble with that. So I'll make that maybe tomorrow or on Monday. I haven't decided which day I'll make that. So I'll have that for dessert for several days for the hubby and I. So that'll be fun. And I also got my little bouquet of flowers. Oh, they're so pretty. I'm just so enjoying getting this little bouquet of flowers every week. I'll have to tell the husband to make sure because I suspect he will go down to the market on Saturday without me. So I'll have to get him to get me a new, because they last about a week and then they fade and they're not nice anymore. So by the time we go back to the market each Saturday, I'm ready for a new little baby bouquet. So I'm so enjoying getting these every week. $2 for a pretty little bouquet. And I absolutely love it. They're just so fun. And so then we went to a small coffee shop. We had a breakfast sandwich there since we couldn't get one from a regular guy. The hubby got himself an Americano coffee when we were there, and I just had water. I didn't feel but I have the cinnamon bun. I don't need to get a sugar-laden drink while I'm there. I don't need, if I'm gonna have a cheat meal, it's gonna be that cinnamon bun. I don't need the coffee or the sugary coffee drink also. So that was our morning. It was nice. What is with all the, It's another outsider ambulance going away from the hospital. I'm gonna have to check and see if there's anything weird and wonderful going on. We don't normally have that many extra different ambulances rolling through town. But anyway, that's my excitement for the day, trying to figure out what's with all the extra ambulances. I don't get out often enough. That's my excitement. Anyway, I should get going. I want to get this editing done on this. I'll get this posted up later this afternoon, early evening, and get back to that hat. Keep working on the hat. I also find it's a little easier on my hands switching from the small needles on the sock to the larger needles on the hat. So that's my story. I'll stick to that one for why I cast on something different. Yeah, that's a good excuse, isn't it? Anyway, I better get going. Take care, everyone, and I will see you guys in a week. Bye.